I've been adding a little recaps on some of my last videos just so you guys can look back and see some of the things that we've been doing here on my channel. Did a restock on our pantries out in our garage and I needed to fill everything up, but I did have some questions on that video that I wanted to clear up today in today's video. Hi everyone, thank you for coming back to my channel. I'm Stephanie if you're new here. So I had a lot of questions on my last pantry restock video. I had my grocery haul, my pantry restock, and all the places that we store our food. I also seen that I have a lot more followers since I posted that video, so I want to be able to kind of introduce myself. I see our light will go off and on in here because we have a sensor light in here so that the lights don't stay on and the kids don't forget to shut them off when they come in here. So you're going to see a little off and on for right now. If you are new to my channel, I am a homeschool mom of 10 kids. The kids that are in the house, I am homeschooling 7 of them. So the lineup of my children, the oldest is 30. She has 3 girls. So I'm a grandma of 3 girls that are the same ages as my youngest children. She also homeschools her kids. She was homeschooled also through high school. So she went to school, public school, up to 6th grade, and we pulled her out when me and my husband had our first child together, and then we've been homeschooling ever since. This year will be 19 years. So my lineup with my kids, my oldest is 30. I have 8 boys in the middle with a set of identical twin boys in there, and then my youngest is a girl and she's 5. So that is what we've been keeping up with lately. So my 2 older children, my oldest boy is out of the house. He's 27 and he just got married this summer. Just a little backstory of my kids and that part of my life. We live in a garage, and when I met my husband, he already was living in a garage. The garage was meant to be turned into his work area. He is an electrician, and that's what this place was supposed to be turned into. I had to step out for just a second. Evelyn needed my help. So this is just like the worst area for me to record this kind of subject, but I am just filling you guys in a lot of the newer subscribers on a little bit just of my background. And we had to build a little addition above our kitchen to have bedrooms for my older 2. The office area that he had here was turned into a nursery. So all of my kids went through the nursery and then moved up to their bedrooms and then, moved out. So that's a little backstory. I will leave a video of our garage tour. That one is outdated and we recently painted and redid the kitchen. I will leave that down below too if you guys are interested in checking that out. But that is one of the reasons why our channel name is 10 Kids and a Garage. So we live in a garage, and I had a lot of questions on how we store our food in our garage. How do we keep it from going bad? How do we prevent mice and rats and insects and all of that? So we got a lot of questions on that. I did get questions on how do we keep the temperature control for our food out in the garage. And then I just had questions on plastics and glass and all of that. So I'm going to go over that in today's video. A little tour of what the 2 pantries look like out in the garage. I recently restocked it with some canning goods, and I'm going to share that with you. I also will have videos on me canning everything. So I canned some salsa, and then I also canned some other stuff. I've been tying that in with our homeschool days. I'm teaching the kids how to can up stuff. I'm also learning, so we're learning together, and that's one of the joys with homeschooling is you can do that with your kids. So I'm going to turn you guys around. I'm going to show you everything in this pantry. I'll take you out to the other pantry, and then I'm going to fill you in with some of them questions and answer some of them. Okay, so let me just turn you around. So if you look into this way, it's just a little walkway food pantry. I had all my seasonings and stuff on here in jars, and I recently took them off, and I will show you where I put them. But we have all our sauces and stuff over here. I'm not quite sure what we're going to do with this area, if we're going to keep it this way, but we do need to fill up more of that because I took stuff off and now it's looking a little empty, and we will do that later. We don't go through a lot of sauces. It's mainly like hot sauce and ketchup and stuff, barbecue sauce. So a lot of this other stuff is just once it's used up, we might not fill it up again. For our pantry, we have it shut off with some lockers. So we have some old school lockers. That is also how my kids store their jackets and shoes. In the garage, we have a lot of school lockers for all of that. So on this side, we have all our sauces, condiments, and stuff on this side. On this side, we have more room that we can put some shelving and stuff in. We have a lot of prepping stuff, and we have lanterns. We have lanterns up there. We have matches, and we have other ways that we can start fire. We have all our safety stuff, like in first aid kits we have up there. We do a lot of storing in buckets. We have food storage in buckets. We switched over to some of that recently because I was storing so much food in my glass jars that I had a follower mention I should just put it all in food grade buckets. So that's what I did. This is a little repeat from my last pantry restock. So if you want to check out that one, I go more in depth with what I have all in here. And then we have food off to this side and stuff up here. So this is our emergency food pantry. We also use it if we need it, and then we put it back in. So that is a little peek of this pantry. All right, so now I'm on to this pantry. This is our canned good pantry. This is out in the garage also. This is the pantry that I was just in. We have it all closed off with lockers, and I will come back to that because I want to talk about that for one of the questions. So on this side, what I ended up doing in my last video is I took all my mason jars out of that pantry and I put them over here because this is where I'm going to use them the most anyways. But we have all our veggies and fruit over here, just canned goods. And on my last haul, I needed to do another restock because I noticed that some areas were empty. So I did another pickup order and I filled in areas that needed it. I went and got more carrots, and so did Lauren. Sweet peas. We got more corn, so this got filled up. We still need more mandarin oranges, but we have all our fruit and stuff there. And then we have all our sauces, like tomato sauce and tomatoes and different things over there. I did mention that I was going to be canning tomatoes, and I didn't know when I was going to do that, but I was able to do it pretty quick. I filled up the shelf. If you guys saw my last video, you guys saw that I only had one jar full of hamburger. I now have 1, 2, 3, 4, and they are 2 pounds of hamburger per jar. I pressure can my hamburger for 90 minutes in my electric canner, so that is awesome. And I have some applesauce here that I water bath, and then I also have, I did make 2 batches of applesauce, and one we just ended up putting in the fridge and eating it right away. All right, so for over here, I have some ketchup. So I got a bunch of jars of ketchup. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then I have 2 in the fridge. It's okay. I did the Mrs. Wagers pack. It's not the best ketchup. I'm going to be honest. It's not the best, but honestly, I hate ketchup, so I'm not the judge to be for ketchup. But we will use it for something if no one likes it. I have a bunch of jars of salsa now, and I have our pasta that I use. Mrs. Wages packets I used to can these up. All right, for the salsa and the pasta, I use a red pepper, green pepper, onion, garlic, and then tomatoes, and then the Mrs. Wages packet is what I use for the salsa and spaghetti sauce. And then for our pizza sauce, I didn't do that. I did not add, that's pasta. But for my pizza, where's my pizza sauce? Here's my pizza sauce. For my pizza sauce, I did not do that. All I did is add the Mrs. Wages seasoning and then tomato paste and stuff, and that's about it. So I have, I think, 5 jars, I think, of pizza sauce, and then the kids made pizza that day. This I ended up getting from a friend, so some apple butter. And so we got our pasta sauce down there. So that filled up my shelf with all of that. So that is super cool. And I moved all my seasonings and stuff over here. So I'm excited that I was able to move that. Lauren gave me an extra shelf. So if you saw my last video, I did not have the shelf here. Lauren quick put that up there. So that's awesome. I still need another one. He's going to do that when he can. And then I have all my bread flours in here. So I have bread flour, I have wheat flour, self-rising flour, brown sugar, powdered sugar, regular sugar. I have soup mix here. This is just like a soup base that you add. And then behind this is pancake mix. So I have all that. I don't even have this labeled. So my kids are going to be so confused. So my kids are included in everything that we do around here, even though they might be still confused on where things are. Everything is pretty much labeled. We do live in a garage, so things do get dusty, and we just wipe it off when we need it. And then we have all our dry food items up there: oatmeal, beans, corn, sunflower seeds, noodles, dehydrated fruit. We do it all as much as we can, and we use it whenever. So we probably should do like a little turnaround with that stuff and use some of it, but otherwise the shelf life is pretty long if you take all the air out and put oxygen absorbers in them. So that is super cool. And all of this is all packed up now, which is awesome. And we are probably like 2 weeks out from when I did the grocery haul and restocked, and everything still looks pretty good out here. All right, so now I'm going to answer some of the questions. I had one question where they were asking about storing things out in the garage with plastics. So that is an awesome question, because that was my first concern when we started doing this. We knew we could not store plastic out in the garage because the shelf life with plastic is not long at all. Do we have our sauces and stuff out here? Yes, but we use them. So as long as your turnaround is good, then I wouldn't worry. Just keep an eye on the, expiration dates and stuff like that, and then it should be fine. Some of the jars are glass anyway, so we got some glass ones, so that's not bad. Our dressings and stuff are plastic for like Nutella and stuff like that. My kids use that, so I'm not worried about that. And as for ketchup, we use ketchup all the time. So I'm not worried about plastic as in anything getting into it. So we don't live in an area where we would have problems with like rats getting in our food. We don't have that around here. We do have a cat that controls our mice and anything like that. Lauren is very good with keeping up with that, so we don't worry about that. As for insects, you need to seal your food. Your food needs to be sealed. That's mainly the main importance, if anything, when it comes to insects. As for the temperature when it comes to storing food, a lot of people ask, like, you live in a garage, what about the heat, what about the cold, won't it ruin your food or anything? So that was all the things that we were thinking about when we decided to do this. We do have fridge and freezers out in our garage that we need to keep running. So if our garage was too cold, we wouldn't be able to have our fridge and freezers out here. They wouldn't work for us, and we had an incident at one time where that happened. We do have a heated garage, and this area that I'm in right now is partially insulated, so this does not get cold in here. So I'm not worried about any of the food in here freezing. So everything is temperature controlled in this area. Out in the garage where I just showed you, that also is temperature controlled because we don't open up our garage door unless we need to. And in the winter in Wisconsin, we ain't opening our garage door unless we have to, because all the heat would just go out. So we don't use our garage for our vehicles. We use it for all the things that we want to store in here, and then all our food, and we don't want our food wasted. So we are aware of how we keep everything stored. So when we switched over to jars, like with my seasonings and stuff like that, I didn't want all of my seasonings kept in plastic because it's going to be a longer shelf life. So I switched that over. And as for the food grade buckets, a lot of the food is still in the packages except for our flour and sugar. That's in a food grade bucket with a turn cover. So we're able to take that cover off at any time, and nothing will go bad with that. So we're not worried about that. So that was one of the questions, is being able to do that. So I think what was meant is if you have a typical garage that is not insulated or is not heated in any way or air conditioned, whatever, then that might be an issue with storing food and not being able to do that. But we thought all through this before we wanted to do this. In the beginning, when we first started storing food, I might even have some back videos where we weren't quite there with food storage, as in we might have had a couple jars that did get frozen. And that's why Lauren wanted to insulate this area so we didn't have that problem. But that is a good question, because we put out videos stating that we store food in our garage, but there's no information behind it stating that we insulate and we, keep the temperature under control and stuff like that. So that's important when you store food. Now, I do have where I have heard of people storing food in their closets, storing food underneath their bed, storing food in pantries that you wouldn't think to store food. We have an area underneath our stairs that we could store food, but I have all my homeschool stuff and pictures and stuff down there, so I could store food down there for long term if I wanted to. We also have heated flooring in our garage house area, so we don't want to store a lot of food on a heated floor either. I had a bag of potatoes one time near our laundry room on our heated floor, and that wasn't a good thing, especially with smell with rotten potatoes. So we have to really think about how you're going to store your food in a way that your food is going to stay safe. So I am home to the most part all the time. I and my kids and my husband are aware of all the food that we have. And do they know where everything is? Maybe not, but they're still aware of, if you need to go in the freezer for something, we have the food in there. So we have 2 stand-up freezers, 2 freezer chests, a fridge freezer, 2 fridge freezer combos that we store all our food. And we have one of our freezers is for our pig meat, and then also one of our freezers is for our chickens. And we just got our steer this last year, and he is going to go in next year. So we'll have our own beef, which will be amazing. And you know what? I think a lot of people too, I just want to back up just one second. So we started out by purchasing a cow like everybody else. It seems like, they'll just purchase a half cow. We did a quarter one year, and it was not in any way enough for us. But you don't need to do a lot of, you don't have to raise your own to have good meat. You can go places, they sell stuff like that. So you don't have to do what other people do to have food storage. And like I also stated in my last video, is when you start out with food storage, you just add a can or 2 onto your grocery list, and then just start out that way. And that's what we did. Every once in a while, in the beginning, Lauren would come home with a big bag of let's see, this stuff, ground beef or beef. So we got ground beef, and then shredded beef and pulled pork and stuff like that. We also have the chicken in a can. So he would always bring home bags of that. And as for like our sloppy joes and stuff, now we do about 4 or 5 cans every time we go grocery shopping. But you don't need to do that. You do what you can to afford what you can. Now, I know that the Dollar Tree raised their prices, so now it's like $1.25. And you're better off just going to Walmart and getting your cans for 50 some cents or, 90 some cents, or go to Costco and buy, a flat or whatever they have of canned goods, and that would be your better bet as in price wise. So going to the dollar store probably isn't the best choice anymore because of the raised prices. So I wouldn't do that unless you can get 2 for 1. So that is another idea. If you guys join like a food pantry pickup thing, sometimes they'll have goods that you can maybe store. To start canning stuff, you can also just go to the farmer's market or whatever, and you can can up fresh vegetables and stuff from there. You don't have to have a garden to do all of that. I think a lot of people just want to be able to do a lot of it on their own and have the rewarding part of being able to do that. So I just wanted to clear up a little bit when it comes to the food pantry out in the garage area. With us living in a garage, that would be the difference, is we don't live in a typical garage where it's not heated or insulated. So even if your garage is heated and insulated, but you're pulling your car in and out, you need to be able to have an area or like a cabinet maybe that you could put that food in instead of just having it out on shelves. So I'm not concerned with ours because we don't use our garage that often for our vehicles, and this area that I'm in right now is insulated, so our food never goes bad in here. And like I said, we don't have insects or anything that really like get in here and do anything anyways. So hopefully that helps. If you are storing food in your house, you're still going to have the same situation as in bugs. So if you're going to store food, you either need to have it in a food grade bucket in your house. If you're going to have large amounts, you don't want to have like bags of flour just laying around in your cabinet, and then, you'll get bugs that way anyways. But I would start putting your stuff in mason jars. We did a lot of dry canning in the beginning of me sharing videos. Did a lot of dry canning our sugars and stuff. And then I would suck the air out and do all this stuff. Whereas in food grade buckets are so much easier. Now, I know a lot of people will store food in their basement. My daughter also stores food in her basement. She does a lot of food storage too, but it's down in her basement, and she cannot have any packages down there. That would be absolutely terrible, especially with like moisture and stuff in a basement. So you can have shelving and stuff in the basement. I know a lot of YouTubers that will do food storage in their basement, but everything is either cleaned out, insulated. They have it all to where they know that their food is going to be safe. No plastics, everything glass or food grade buckets. So you can go to like local bakeries and stuff, and a lot of them will sell or some of them just end up giving them away, their buckets. So you can ask them if it's a food grade bucket. And a lot of places will get that for you. I think my husband got some of this stuff either on Amazon or Fleet Farm. If you're interested in picking up some food grade buckets. As for like canning supplies, I got mine through a friend off a marketplace, Facebook marketplace. So you can go on there and get reduced price stuff. I got my electric canner at Fleet Farm for, I think it was like $300. So I got that, which is amazing. I also have a pressure cooker down below here. I have 3 water bath canners that I use. I wish my stove was a little bit bigger, that I could do multiple at one time, but I only could do 2 at one time. So that's how I got done with my sauces pretty quick this last week. So that, I think, is everything. If you guys have any more questions for me for our pantries, if I missed something, just leave them in the comments down below, and I will maybe do like another Q&A or something for you guys on all our food and our food pantry. Enjoyed today's video. Don't forget to give me a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.